Welcome to Extropy on Air, the podcast from Extropy Advisors, where we dive into the world of AI, digital transformation, and the future of business. Each episode will bring you perspective from leaders, innovators, and experts across industries, all focused on helping organizations and, more importantly, people thrive in a changing world. Let's get started. Welcome back to Extropy on Air, the podcast where we explore tools, partnerships, and strategies modernizing the office of the CFO. I'm Kevin Zirkle with Extropy Advisors, and today we're jumping into a topic that impacts every department and every dollar. That's eProcurement. From rogue spending to slow approvals, disconnected catalogs to poor supplier utilization, procurement inefficiencies really do add up fast. That's why I'm thrilled to continue our conversation with Ward Karson at Raindrop, who's come back to help us unpack how Raindrop is making procurement smarter, more compliant, and a heck of a lot more user-friendly. So, Ward, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. This is one of my favorite modules to talk about because it's really where CFOs can see impact almost immediately, both in savings and in process clarity.
Yeah, without a doubt. So let's start by defining the problem. What are the common challenges you see with the legacy procurement systems out there today?
Well, I think the biggest issue is complexity, which obviously creates failure in adoption, system adoption. So systems are clunky. Users bypass them, and that leads to maverick spend. So it means you have shadow suppliers, off-contract buys, missed savings. Procurement loses that visibility. Finance loses control. Business users they just want to get what they need and get back to work.
Yeah, exactly. And we find that people don't want to not follow process. I mean, oftentimes the process is broken. And you nailed it earlier. I mean, users don't bypass process because they're trying to be malicious. I mean, they bypass it because it's painful. Let's face it. When it takes 12 clicks to find a supplier or 2 weeks to get something approved, I mean, people naturally are going to find shortcuts in their organization to get what they need.
Yeah, they just want to run their business and they don't want to do it with the constraints of a tool that's going to make it so difficult that they can't do their work. They're going to do their work without it. And so that creates a massive blind spot for finance. So we had a client who discovered they had 11 different contracts for the same office supply vendor. They all negotiated separately by different departments, but just by consolidating and putting eProcurement rules in place in our platform, they saved 22% on annual spend. I mean, these are no-brainer CFO ROI interests.
I mean, that's really the hidden cost of process fatigue. When systems are too hard to use, people work around them, and the business is what ends up ultimately paying the price. So how does Raindrop help us solve that? Let's start to get into the platform here a little bit.
So like all things in Raindrop, right, we really focus on simplicity, speed, and compliance. So I'll give you some key capabilities. Let's put them out there. Guided buying via a clean, modern interface, just a single place to go. A universal, I call it federated, but a universal federated search. So a single place for buyer to have managed catalogs or supplier hosted catalogs, often known in my words that I say, I call it federated search, but people can look for something and we'll search across all catalogs. You don't have to go into the catalog, do a search, hop out, go to the next one and go do a separate search. So we also have what's called Punch In. We integrate with systems like Amazon Business. They're great at that, where we could shop directly in Amazon Business, but the approval routing is done using Raindrop, punches into Raindrop, following your business rules, and the user doesn't even have to know. It just automatically happens for them. How about budget-aware requisitioning? So here's how many dollars I have. Here's how much I actually could do. So it has awareness of your budget. Approval routing by, let's say, by policy and role. So now you're ensuring that it's going to the right eyeballs at the right time for the right dollar amount. Or right currency amount, depending on where you live. PO generation, three-way match support, should you be buying goods. And then real-time analytics, we're talking about the downstream of that purchase now, and the spend visibility. And the best part, it's all built for users. It's not just built for the procurement team.
That's a great point. That really is critical. I mean, the more intuitive the system, more likely you're going to get the users to adopt it. I mean, it's that simple. And really, that adoption is where your ROI is going to come from. What are the things you mentioned? You mentioned guided buying. Let's dig into that just a little bit. What does that look like from the user's perspective?
So it's like online shopping, right? But it's tailored to your company. So users answer, let's say, a few quick questions, right? So what you're buying for what department, under what budget. And Raindrop guides them to the right catalog, the right supplier, the right policy. It really eliminates that guesswork.
Okay. Yeah. And that's huge because let's face it, if the system makes the right path easier than the wrong one, people are going to take the right path. I mean, the compliance will take care of itself if you do that properly. So the other thing I heard earlier was about budgeting and making sure we have budget alignment on our purchases. One of the most common frustrations we hear from finance is that POs get approved with no view of what's available in a budget. But what does Raindrop do there?
Yeah, exactly. So this is where Raindrop is different. So we integrate budget visibility right into the requisition process. So users can see their department's available budget in real time, and the system can block or warn based on those thresholds.
Okay. So instead of reconciliation happening after the fact, you really are enforcing that spend discipline upstream.
Yeah, bingo. Exactly. That's right. Yeah, yeah. It's really preventative controls. It's not post-mortem cleanup.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get into our big topic that we talk about every time, and that's the AI function. So let's talk about AI and eProcurement. How does that flow, and where does it impact within Raindrop?
Let's come up with 3 or 4 different things I can think off the top of my head. It's like smart suggestions, right? Everyone wants that. AI recommended preferred items, supplier, contracts based on past purchases, policy, kind of all that. So smart suggestions is one. Duplicate detection might be another, which flags when users are trying to buy items that are already ordered or, more importantly, in some cases, already in stock. Risk alerts. If a supplier is already under review, AI will prevent new POs. So you can't do that, which is really nice. And then let's think about compliance scoring. So AI flags non-standard purchases or spending that's outside a negotiated agreement.
Okay. So yeah, again, more like that digital procurement analyst that AI should be to really help people's lives embedded within the system. It's guiding users, it's flagging risk, it's optimizing spend in real time. I think those are great use cases.
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. I mean, it empowers the users while concurrently it's protecting the business.
Yeah. I did want to go back and highlight something that you said earlier. You said Raindrop isn't just flagging risk; it's recommending better choices. That's a critical evolution for technology today.
Yeah, so we use the AI to guide us. I'd say guide users towards preferred suppliers, suggested alternative, like an item with better pricing or delivery terms. It flags purchases that don't match the expected need or category logic, things like that.
And this just isn't generic AI. I mean, we talked about it earlier, but this is trained on the organization's own data, right?
Yeah, correct. That's right. Yeah. So it learns from prior transactions, supplier performance, user behavior, and obviously the idea really is that it becomes more useful over time.
Well, maybe it's story time. Give us an example. Talk a little bit about where Raindrop eProcurement has changed the game for an existing customer today.
Okay, so for one major customer of ours, they really struggled with maverick spend, basically. Everyone did their own thing, and often they just would go to Amazon to get what they wanted, and they would expense it. We actually worked with Amazon Business, to integrate a punch in. I think I mentioned this earlier, back to Raindrop. So if a customer wanted to go to Amazon Business directly, the approvals and payment happened through Raindrop. So everything was captured, but the whole experience was really a seamless digital, we call it the digital front door. We call it DFD for short in Raindrop speak, where a user could ask our AI agent called Rain, so Rain AI, they could ask them for an item, and the universal search was conducted across all catalogs, including Amazon Business, but also things like CDW and many others, Insight, et cetera, McMaster-Carr, Grainger, they have a bunch of catalogs, with results that return. And if the item wasn't available, it would walk the user through a spot buy experience with its own set of approval rules, right? So the process is essentially eliminated all this off-contract spend, and it's given complete visibility and spend across the organization. It was a major win.
Yeah, especially that budget awareness up front. I mean, that's really something that finance leaders are always chasing. So let's talk a little bit about the internal rollout, maybe that client or other clients deal with. What best practices do you guys recommend to really ensure procurement teams, users are embracing the system once it's up and running?
I love the questions. 2 big ones. First, engage the business early. Let them help design the categories and workflows so that the tool reflects how they work. because that will lead to your buy-in, right? So second is then measure adoption by behavior, not just by logins. So are they buying through the system? Are they buying from preferred suppliers? That's what matters. Make it easy. And if you do the right thing, people will follow.
Yeah, that operational buy-in is what we call it. I mean, if people feel like a system was built with them and not just for them, we think there's a lot more ownership and they tend to use it a lot more effectively. So that's good to hear.
100%.
Here at Extrabee, when we implement eProcurement, we often find that policy it's outdated, it's inconsistent, and part of the work is really rethinking the process. Who approves what, when, why? I mean, Raindrop really does help operationalize those rules without the friction, but the process portion of it is still something that's really important for companies today.
Yeah, so that's why it works so well. We're flexible. We don't force a rigid process. So we let the clients define the policies that make sense for them, and then we help automate them so the users don't have to think twice about it.
Yeah, and we also find that clients often use an eProcurement deployment is really an opportunity to kind of re-baseline their policies. You know, who approves what, when, and why, and that's not a software problem. That's a governance problem. Those are things that we try to work with our clients with as well.
So yeah, I mean, this is why we encourage a quick policy review before go live, because the best workflow engine in the world isn't going to fix unclear or outdated rules.
No, it's so much more than just automation. It really is governance, modernization as part of these projects. I mean, automation certainly the enabler for sure. But okay, let's get into another area. We also get asked, can I use Raindrop eProcurement with my existing ERP? Believe it or not, we still get asked that question. So I'm going to let you answer it. Short answer, Ward. What is the answer to that question?
Short answer, okay, one word, yes. Raindrop actually integrates very nicely with all the usual suspects. So SAP, Oracle, Workday, Microsoft, and probably countless others. You could run your eProcurement on Raindrop. You could generate the PO there. You could send it to your ERP for invoice matching. Or if you prefer, we could sit upstream from that. We could run the intake and policy controls, and we could push that clean data to the ERP. Bottom line that you asked is super modular.
Yeah, and that's great for clients that don't want to do that big rip and replace. We've been talking about it all the time. If you already have a really nice stack in place, we're not going to affect that. We're only going to augment it.
Exactly.
So you mentioned Workday. Let's say a client is using Workday financials. They want Raindrop for purchasing, but they're concerned about syncing POs and invoices. How does that process work?
No problem. Raindrop creates the requisition and the PO. We push it directly into Workday. And once the invoice is received and matched in Workday or Bassware, that data flows back for the full cycle visibility. The client gets the modern procurement experience without disrupting their finance backbone backend.
Yeah, and that's huge because we know CFOs, they don't want to lose visibility or compliance controls just to modernize purchasing. So last big question I have for you in this segment, why should CFOs prioritize eProcurement right now? We always want to go back to that office of the CFO. And in your opinion, why is it something they really need to be thinking about?
I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, because every dollar of indirect spend is a chance to optimize. A strong eProcurement process ensures policy compliance, supports supplier strategy, critically for CFO enhances budget control. Corporate controllers will love that. And it really gives finance visibility that they've never had before. So it's an easy way to reduce waste and enforce accountability across departments / corp.
Yeah, totally agree. It's a similar message we give to all of our clients that we're advising as well. And it really is one of the fastest ways to really reduce operational leakage. So let's connect this to CFO priorities. I mean, indirect spend, it isn't always sexy, but it's often one of the fastest areas to drive margin improvement. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, that's right. So even if you manage 10% of indirect spend better, right? Through compliance, volume discounts, fewer suppliers, whatever, you could unlock real EBITDA gains. And here's the best part. It's repeatable year after year.
Yeah. And honestly, that's where procurement becomes not just a service. I mean, it truly is a strategic function for the organization. Yeah. Ward, thanks again. I mean, this eProcurement, it may not always sound flashy, but man, when it works, it is transformational for companies. So Raindrop makes it accessible, makes it intelligent, and certainly makes it impactful. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, procurement hasn't changed in 10 years, well, Now's the time. I mean, with Raindrop, the experience is cleaner, it's smarter, it's aligned with how people actually work. And we certainly appreciate that, and I know our clients do as well.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Kevin. I mean, procurement, it should be simple and smart, and that's what we've built.
Absolutely. Let's close with that. So appreciate it, Ward. Again, listeners, join us next time on Extropy on Air. We're going to wrap up our Raindrop series with a final segment called Beyond Automation. And this is going to be all about AI for you AI lovers. We're going to be redefining the future of sourcing and spend management. So again, if you're enjoying this series, leave us a review, like us, follow us, and be sure to share that with anyone you think might find benefit from it. Again, this is Extropy on Air. I'm Kevin Zirkle. Thanks for listening, and here's to helping you transform forward. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to Extropy on Air. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode, and connect with us at Extropy Advisors to continue the conversation on AI and digital transformation. Until next time, I'm Kevin Zirkle, and this has been Extropy on Air.